What is going on, people, and welcome to the SNES Geek Show. I am of course the SNES Geek, and in today's video I'm gonna talk about the game. But before I talk about that game, let's talk about the previous game, which is related to this game that I'm gonna talk about. Okay, so in 2007 Sega released a game known as Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games for the Wii. It was a crossover game between Sega and Nintendo characters that was in the Summer Olympics. And despite it being pretty simplistic and not being perfect by any means, it actually became a successful game, selling over 2 million copies, thus becoming the most successful crossover game in gaming history up to that point. Holy shit. But that was in 2007. Let's move forward a bit to 2010. To February of 2010, when Sega released a game known as Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. Now this was a game that was a kart racer that not only featured kart racers from Sonic, but features characters from other Sega franchises. Now the game itself was released for the PS3, Xbox 360, Wii, and then the Nintendo DS. But for this video, we're gonna have a look at the Wii version. Okay, so the first thing that happens after you push start is a cutscene, which looks amazing. Sega know how to nail their cutscenes. So all of these characters that you're about to see in this cutscene, those are all the characters that's featured in this entire game. There's a turn of fight between every single one of them, which feels like this game is about with every single character, that it's not just Sonic, because let's all be real, the most successful franchise in Sega's entire collection is Sonic the Hedgehog, or at least of the classic Sega characters. There are Sega characters that has only had like one game in total, or hasn't really had too much in recent years that appears in this game. Everything from Crazy Taxi to Virtual Fighter to Samba the Amigo to Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. So many characters from many different franchises appear. And that is just the beginning. Now, if this intro doesn't hype you for what's about to happen in this game, then I'm afraid this is not something for you. And so, after starting up your profile, you are then introduced to the character selection screen, and this is where you get to see all of the characters. Yeah, there's actually a lot of characters that are already unlocked, so it's not like everything is unlocked from the start. You have to earn points by completing each race. But if you look at the character roster, there's a lot of characters to choose from, and as a bonus, you can push the A button while you're at the the card you wanna choose, and you can see its stats. Yeah, sure, it's not like Mario Kart where you can see the stats on screen, but you know, it's not bad, Sega, not bad at all. I can perfectly navigate it otherwise. And so I'm choosing Knuckles, and after that, you are finally at the starting line. And of course, since this is the Wii, a kart racer, you have to use your Wiimote sideways and then steer thanks to the gyroscopic function in the Wiimote. 3, 2, 1, and now we're off! And now this game is much more crazy than Mario Kart, because even though you're playing at 50cc, it's almost like you play 100cc. Now this game is way more... It has way more action than Mario Kart. If you start at 50cc in Mario Kart, it's pretty tough to come last. But in this game, there's actually some competition, or at least competition that's noticeable. They aren't just disappearing on the map. Speaking of map, this game doesn't have an actual like representation of the map. Instead, it has a line that you see on top of the screen. And you know what? Despite only being a line, it actually works decently well, as you can actually determine how far away you are from the opposition, and if you need to speed up and such. Now, one thing that this game does better than Mario Kart, in my opinion, are the items, because these items are actually from other Sega games, which is pretty interesting. And there's also a commentator which commentates everything that you do. Unfortunately for this review, I have him turned off, but you can turn on the commentator in the options, and thankfully he doesn't speak Japanese, he speaks English, which is an added plus. And so so the items that you use are traffic cones, there are rainbows, it's basically items that you can find in every cartridge like Mario Kart that stops you dead in your tracks and such. Now, one thing that I really do enjoy with this game is this specific item. Now, at random, you can get a special item, which is character specific, mind you. And if you pick up that item, then you will get a giant speed boost and is most likely able to catch up to your opposition. And the great thing about this item is that you can actually use it. You cannot just use it for like speeding up, but you can use it for attacking the opponent. And now let's talk about the tracks themselves. Now, like I said, there are different characters from different franchises, and the same applies to the tracks. All the tracks are drastically different, and they're all from different franchises, which is pretty cool in the set, which gives each track some variety and its own taste. Now, the graphics in this game are actually pretty damn impressive. It's very colorful, it's very cute, it's very poppy. It honestly feels but you cannot really complain because it's Sega we're talking about. They're the masters of graphics. That's growing strong even to this day. And so that was everything I had to say about Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. Is it any good? Of course it is. And with lots of content and lots of unlockables, there's absolutely no reason to not buy this game. But also, one more thing. Throughout every core, and depending on how well you do, you earn points. And with these points you can buy items. However, it's not like your typical Mario Kart point. No. This is Sega miles. And these miles can be earned from just finishing. Not finishing last or in first or such. Just get to the finish line. And that is a pretty cool feature which appeals to both hardcore and casual players. It's not just for kids, which in itself is a pretty cool feature. Okay, so right now I'm editing this and it came to my attention that I totally forgot to talk about the ending. This ending is great. Everyone is cheering on the winner. That's right, it doesn't matter if you place third, second, fourth, last, or fifth or whatever, because you will always be included in this ending. Great job, Sega. So that was it for this video. I will see you in the next video, where I will be talking about yet another game. Until next time, bye!